Here's something brought to you by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers. Joe DeMayo has released his top 30 prospects on SNY.TV. Here are the top 10. Brandon Sproat and Jett Williams lead the way. Ronnie Mauricio missed all of last year after tearing his ACL. He is in there at number 8. Let's make the call to the bullpen and welcome in Joe DeMayo. Joe, which prospect is going to make the biggest impact this season with the Mets big club?
While the Mets do have a few options, I think you mentioned Mauricio and Luis Angel Acuna. The Mets have a couple options, but there's no bigger than Brandon Sproat, who's at the top of my list as the #1 prospect in the system. I watch baseball night in New York every single day, and I hear you, Sal, complaining about the Mets rotation. And obviously, Sean Manaea is going to miss some time with injury, and Frankie Montas. Brandon Sproat is a guy that I think if he can go down to AAA Syracuse and get off to a hot start, he could find his way into the Mets rotation within the first couple months of the season. He really has electric stuff. It's a fastball that'll sit in the mid-90s. It'll get up to triple digits. You saw in his spring training outings that he did get to 99 miles an hour. He has a plus changeup, and he has a sweeper and a hard cutter. So this is a guy that I think projects long-term as a #2 type of starter. And he, as I said, he could make his way up to the major leagues within the first couple months of the season, I think.
Me complain? I think you got the wrong show. They are going to need Sproat, though. And look, hopefully he does reach some of that potential this year. All right, Joe, are there any prospects who are deemed untouchable?
I don't believe in the term untouchable. I think there is a price in which anybody can be had. But I would be hard-pressed to trade Sproat, who I was just talking about, or my #2 prospect in the system, Jett Williams. And the reason for that, I think Sproat, as I mentioned, has a chance to impact the big league team imminently, while Jett is a high upside player that I think may not be this year. I think largely because of just the volume of players ahead of him on the depth chart. But I look at him as an everyday player that could hit at or near the top of a batting order as soon as, maybe the end of this year, but probably more likely 2026. And the Mets need to infuse some youth into this lineup and into this rotation. That way you surround those superstars like Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor with some homegrown youth.
All right, Joe, you mentioned Jett Williams. What are your expectations for him this year following an injury-plagued year a season ago?
The most important thing is really to be healthy, which when I was down in Port St. Lucie, talked to Jett a little bit, and he's healthy. He's ready to go. He had a wrist injury last year where he missed 4 months of the season and really just got back in at the end and played some at the Arizona Fall League. And you want to see him back to what he did in 2023. He had 44 extra base hits. He stole 45 bases. He had an 876 OPS, and he was the first Mets prospect since David Wright to draw over 100 walks in a season. So this is a guy that knows how to get on base. He's an electric athlete. He could play all 3 spots up the middle. So now we just need to see him healthy and back playing every single day.
Who has the higher upside of the 2 players, Drew Gilbert or Ryan Clifford, Joe?
The answer is Ryan Clifford, and the reason I'll say that is I like Drew Gilbert quite a bit. I have him at number 10 in my prospect list. But to me, he is average to slightly above average across the board as far as his tools go. Clifford, who I have at number 4 on my list, really has an elite tool, and that's his power. If he can kind of fix his approach a little bit at the plate, I know that he strikes out too much, but if he can really refine that, you're looking at a guy that could hit in the middle of an order, 25, 30 home runs. He posts exit velocities north of 110 miles an hour. It's a pretty special power profile, and he just needs to kind of put the whole package together.
Nobody knows Mets prospects better than Joe DeMayo. Visit SNY.TV for Joe's full breakdown. Keep up the good work on the pod as well, Joe. We appreciate your time.